Mounties.
Let me pull up this story we got from the Daily Mail. Police threaten to arrest truckers blockading the U.S. border in Alberta unless they leave. Cops give Freedom Convoy an ultimatum after their one-time cheerleader, Justin Trudeau, turned on them for protesting his vaccine mandates. So ultimately, the RCMP backed down. But is this them saying, the Mounties are leaving because we've issued your warning, we'll come back later? Or are they completely unable to do anything about these trucks?
I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? And hats off to Rebel News. I think the website is convoyreports.com. They have up, I think they're doing a fundraiser for lawyers, by the way. So what we're talking about, for people who aren't familiar, you have truckers right now that are on the border between Alberta and Montana that are actually blocking the main roadway on this. And I pulled it up on the map. This is your main border crossing between Calgary and the entire Pacific Northwest. So if you're coming out of that main city of central, and this is a central agricultural hub, this is a cattle hub, so your beef, some poultry, that's all coming out of there, out of Calgary, out of that area. They're locking it all down. And the truckers are just basically standing there saying, look, this is a standoff. We are not going to move. The Mounties and Rebel News, as far as I can tell, are the only ones that actually have people who are embedded there, because there's no way to get there right now otherwise. So it's like the middle of nowhere, but they're putting up, and I'm looking just a couple of minutes ago, the Alberta Premier Kenney just declared that the blockade is unlawful, warning that the participants are subject to arrest, and they're broadcasting. So this is it's not like this, but it's similar to the Bundy Ranch standoff that took place, or the Mulhere reservation. It's not like that in the sense they haven't taken over, like a federal facility or anything like that. But this time around, Rebel Media is actually in there embedded. So they just 6 minutes ago posted a video of the truckers releasing a statement in response to the Alberta Premier saying, look, we want dialogue, we want communication, and we want the mandates lifted.
This is a lot like Occupy Wall Street.
It's so much like Occupy Wall Street.
You've got, you were mentioning earlier that Viva Frei was on the ground.
For 6 hours.
6 hours. He didn't do 21 like I did, but he's a cool guy. Viva, we're fans. It's all right. It's no big deal. But but you were saying that, he's going around live streaming on the ground, embedded in this moment. Very similar to what happened with Occupy Wall Street, not just with me covering this, and people were giving him batteries.
People were coming up to him, recognizing him, and saying, "Oh, Viva, yeah, you need a battery pack, man," and they would give him a pack. And then he went into an office at one point and was charging his phone, but interviewing someone while he charged his phone. I mean, it's crazy. He was meeting, and there was a singer-songwriter, this girl who was there, and she played Amazing Grace just for him, and he's talking to truckers and retired people. It was, I kid you not, I was watching his live streams and then just any live stream I could of these trucker protests for the last 3 days straight. So if you've been in my house or if you've been at the studio down in DC, literally you see me at the computer, all you hear in the background is just honk, 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 and I love it. With every honk, it just gets better and better. I need to
louder and louder.
Yes,
right?
more honking.
Well,
absolutely.
So see, that's the big difference. If you are citizen journalist, you are in China on the ground reporting live stream from the COVID side, you disappear very fast. Chen Qiusi, Zhang Zhan, all those citizen journalists, they are locked up. We don't know where they are. They could be dying of some disease or something you don't know. There's a big difference. That's why it's so important for people who love freedom to appreciate what they have now. You got to fight so hard to keep it,
Well, if I could ask you, Lily, what is one thing that you think Americans need to band together and do right now to prevent our country from becoming like the one you left?
Well, that's why I'm running for U.S. Congress, right? Because I say, why I'm running? Because I fear the country I love is becoming like the country I loved. And it's getting worse and worse. Not 2 years. I could not sleep. I saw the writings on the wall, and I saw the similar tactics and features, what's going on in this country with the Mao's Cultural Revolution. I survived. I just feel it's like when you see your neighbor's house on fire, they don't know. What should I do? I say it. I got to warn them, right? Hey, your house is on fire. So our country is going down that path very fast. I have to do something about it. And lots of Americans, when I go out to speak about my stories, they're all very interested in listening to me. But it's how come they did not listen to some stories, learn history about it before? So Look into our educational system. Right?
Yeah.
So are you running for the Libertarian Party or?
I'm running as a Republican.
Oh, as a Republican.
Yes, I have run as before in Colorado. LP has no ballot access, and the Republican Party in New Hampshire is quite good. There are lots of people like me inside to make things happening. Like lots of them in State House, in State Senate, we're passing some very good laws right now, and we already passed a whole bunch last year. That are now Democrats trying to reverse them. They're trying to sue our state now to forbid schools to teach discrimination when race is more superior or inferior than others. What's wrong with that? It's in our state constitution. You cannot teach discrimination in schools. But they say, well, we cannot teach history anymore. We are so afraid of discussions of slavery, which is not true.
Yeah.
So,
I see the memes all day and night. So my Facebook is comprised of populists across the board. I mean, Occupy Wall Street was a big populist movement, and it's split in a lot of ways. A lot of people who supported Occupy ended up supporting Trump later on. Many of them went for Bernie. So it's surprising when I see the divide, and it really is a stark contrast. What I see from the left outright says the right has stepped up to banning books on slavery. They're overtly racist and white supremacist, and like that's just fundamentally not true.
It's a lie.
They're pushing that lie about the book Mouse.
Total lie.
Total lie. So they're saying the book has been banned.
If your book is available on the rack at Barnes and Noble, it's not banned.
Well, if you can bring it into the school and you can read it, it's not banned.
Right.
So the story is essentially that they voted to remove it from the curriculum. It's like, okay, there's a lot of books that aren't in school curriculum. They're not all banned. Imagine if they were like, we have 500 books in the curriculum. That means 10 billion books are banned? That's insane. But what the narrative that's coming out is, oh no, they're banning books, and there's nothing you can say to change any of their minds because there is a tribal narrative.
Another thing I want to say that I testified in state capitol because the teachers union supporters want to reverse our laws, right? And they are suing our state. And you got about 20 people showed up to testify, support that the bill. And you got two aging, women who fled communism to give our strong 2 cents. They were totally outnumbered, 2 to 20. But we went there without the paper in front of us. We just told our stories. And I called the NEA. I said, if you look at the NEA national, the largest union national website, they said clearly budget to teach critical race theory into 14,000 school districts. But the people say, oh, we're not teaching critical race theory schools. Really? I said, welcome you, New Hampshire chapter of NEA, to come out make public statement about that. Because I said, if you want to teach real history, I'm leaving history. I would like to go to your school, teach your kids about communism. How about that?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They should.
So you're running for the Republican nomination? Like
yes,
the primary's coming up?
There are 5 Republican men in the primary with me, and I welcome all good men. But I have a compelling, unique story, and I understand how precious our freedom is. I feel confident with the grassroots support. Hey, everybody's watching, please. LilyTangWilliams.com, $10, and I can win. I can be front runner tonight. You can make me front runner tonight in the Republican primary. To say, hey, we love Lily. She's representing the common people, and she is a fierce freedom fighter. Why not let her?
Are you involved with the Free State Project?
I moved there and signed a pledge to make maximum efforts to create a free society. I was attacked for that by the left when I was running for Little Town supervisor of the checklist, because it's nonpartisan race. But when they found out I was a free stater, they come attack me, and
why? Shouldn't they be for freedom?
I know.
Live free or die.
So
Yeah,
that's
it's the
how
whole point
sad.
of
Right?
state.
That's the
But they granted progressives come out, organize workshops in the libraries every election year to tell people who are the free staters. We are the radical and right-wing nuts, something like that. The sense of they even don't understand how organization work. Everybody goes there. And once they sign the pledge, you move there, you do whatever you want. It's up to you. There's no dues. There's no requirement. You're on your own. And I choose my own course,
So you're running for federal Congress, right?
Yes. And if I win the nomination, I will be the historically first Chinese immigrant from mainland China who survived communism to be nominee of a Republican Party in the country.
And then when you get to Washington, will you do everything in your efforts to repeal unconstitutional gun bans, and things like that?
Of course, if you have not
Love
seen
it.
my if you have not seen my John Stossel interview, I was holding my AR-15
I love it.
in front of U.S. flag. I was attacked also by some local left people to say she looked very scary.
They're losers.
She's holding AR-15. I said, well, I am a survivor of communism.
Yeah.
I believe Second Amendment right. Otherwise, all those students in Tiananmen Square will not be killed without a fight, right?
That's right.
And you tell me that I look scary. I'm 5'1", a Chinese woman, and I'm very intimidating, So they're afraid of guns, basically. So I think that's part of the problem. People are afraid of guns. Have they tried to handle guns in shooting range? When I first come to the United States, first time touch gun, I was scared too. So I don't know what to do. I was like, oh, people say, no, don't point at people. Lady number one rule.
Yes,
don't
number
point
one
it at
rule.
people.
Do not.
You should teach Alec Baldwin.
I scared.
Oh!
I scared all my, husband's family is like, oh, God, I forgot you're from China. You never touch guns. I feel so empowered when I first time hold a gun in my hands, fire first shot.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, because I never had that feeling. I was deprived of gun ownership. 1.4 billion Chinese today deprived the self-defense right. That's why they're quiet. That's why they comply no matter how bad their life become. What can you do?
People don't realize about the Second Amendment. The left often says, what are you going to do? Rise up against the government, blah, blah. No, that's not what it's about. It's, for one, it's a force balancer. So you mentioned Tiananmen Square. They roll out these tanks, right? So and then basically, you tell me exactly what happened with Tiananmen Square. They came and they killed all these students.
So what happens that when the premier of China, Hu Yaobang, he was the one not just advocate for economical freedom. He was talking about we should have political freedom as well. So we were in college and let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. What kind of country we want? Can we become a Western democracy countries? People can vote, can have a dialogue with our leaders. So they were peaceful. But when this leader died, and they were actually just going to Tiananmen Square to mourn his death. Lots of, those Chinese, and flowers and all that. But then after a couple of weeks, and people start to say, hey, we want to have dialogue with our leaders. They were not calling to overthrow the government. No, they just say, can we have a dialogue? Can we be represented? Can we have a continued dialogue about political freedom, like a right to vote and right to appeal, rule of law? And at the beginning, the government was quiet. And then more and more students show up. And more students start in other cities of the province, like capitals, like my hometown. And even when Gorbachev visited China that time, by the time it was like 400,000 students at Tiananmen Square. And they had to reroute for him to visit the state. So after that, I heard that Deng Xiaoping, back then was the leader, and talked to the military in Beijing to say, and go rowing to the Tiananmen Square. But the Beijing troops knew those were our best and brightest students and peaceful. They were not going to kill them. And you see citizens come out, beg them to leave, and literally have offered them water and bread to when they're hungry to say, leave. They're not threats. They're not counter-revolutionaries. Go home. So Beijing general actually later got fired because Beijing troops left.
Wow.
That Deng Xiaoping went back to Hubei, where Wuhan is capital, to say, go to Tiananmen Square. Whole bunch of young people, counter-revolutionaries, are trying to overthrow the government.
Traitors.
Traitors, basically.
What killed them all?
10,000 estimated to die that
So
day.
what people need to understand about the Second Amendment, that story, what would have happened if they actually were armed? I don't think it would have escalated to a major conflict. It would have escalated to a dialogue, because the government would be like, look, we're not going to go in there. People there have weapons, and it could go south real quick. So we need to figure out how to defuse this. In the United States, a lot of these, large instances, these large moments where the left is like, what do you think you're going to do? Rise up against the government, blah, blah, blah. No, it just never escalates to that point, because they know that there's a mutually assured destruction. But a really good example of the deterring effect and the balancing, the force balancer, is the Breonna Taylor story. The police kicked the door in. Breonna Taylor's boyfriend returned fire. hitting a cop with a bullet. The cop was bleeding from the leg. They fired. They killed Breonna Taylor. But the charges were dropped against the boyfriend because he had a right to keep and bear arms and defend his home. Mm-hmm. That means the police in this country know a law-abiding citizen may be armed. And if you try and break into their house and violate their rights, you could die. Mm-hmm. You could die. And Breonna Taylor's boyfriend did not get in trouble. I mean, they pushed him through it a little bit, but eventually he just was like, look, it was lawful self-defense of his house. So in a country like you look at these videos out of Australia or the UK, the cops kick the door and they walk in, they do whatever they want. Well, in the United States, not so much. Still, yes, they do, but not so much.
Well, that's why if you look at my past, 2013, I published open ad by National Review Online to say like guns against tyranny. And I talk about Tiananmen Square. I talk about Chinese people feel powerless to defend themselves, their families, and anybody can kick your door open. And I was told when I live a very poor, illiterate working parents neighborhood, say, hey, if criminals come, go grab our choppers in the kitchen. Like when you do bones and chickens, you use those. Chopsticks don't do any sense, so you have to just grab the knives, So when I come to this country, when I first time got passionately involved in politics, because 2013, the Democrats in Colorado wanted to limit the AR-15 magazines. So I testified. First time I did not know how to testify in this long line. I had to go in with somebody. My smart rat is like my husband called me straight rat. I survived China. So I said, I'm not going to get in there testify. The line is so long, it'll be midnight. But I saw somebody is expert witness, like a president of Rocky Mountain Gunowner Association say, hey, can I go in with you? Because I survived China. I want to give my 2 cents. He said, okay, come with me. So I went in with him. First time I testified in my life, in my new country, to say what you're doing is the communist way. We need to have a second mind. The right to defend ourselves is our God-given right. Are you becoming like a communist? Well, nobody said anything, but they passed the bill along the party night. I become political activist after that.
But so good for you.
枪杆这里面出主权.
Yes, that's Chairman Mao's quote.
Chairman Mao is the one who said this perfectly. Political power grows from the barrel of a gun. And then what did the CCP do? They banned all the guns.
Well, when the PRC founded in 1949, my dad told me he remembered. Because before that, some people still have some guns, even though Nationalist Party by Chiang Kai-shek also started to have gun control laws because, he was kind of corrupt too. But after PRC, the communists said, turn over all your guns, whatever you have in your house, including those people who were supposed to be kind of like a little bit like a militia group. Turn your guns. Or we search door by door. Mm-hmm. Then you go to jail if we find a gun in your house.
I love this point. I hate that I'm able to make it when these Democrat types say no one is trying to take your guns away. I just say Waco. And then if they don't know what it is, I'll be like, how many children are worth killing so that you can take guns?
Ruby Ridge.
Yeah.
There are lots of cases to prove, and the people, unless some people will say, I guarantee you 100% that our government in the U.S. will not become tyrants. Who can guarantee that? If you don't trust that, then gun debate is over.
It's simple. Over a long enough period of time, a system that has centralized authority, if you have 100 leaders and you have a system of centralized authority and 99 of them are good people, but you end up finally getting that one dictator, then he goes nuts and seizes more power and kills people. We just shouldn't have that centralized kind of power.
Just like Mao, right? Mao's like sociopath. So you don't have a rule of law. You have a rule of man. What if you run into 7 madmen? And when I was growing up as one madman, sociopath, 20 million people died during his Cultural Revolution.
So you go through the Cultural Revolution in China. You come to the U.S., you're in Colorado, and you said 2013, I think, right? And now, how do you, I kind of asked you this already, but seeing everything that's going on right now, it's got to be kind of like, nerve-wracking. You're like, I left China to get away from this, and now these countries are doing similar things, and they're ramping up towards this authoritarianism.
Well, that, like defectors from Russia, they said that too. They will corrupt the free world one little bit. Socialism every day. So they sell you free stuff first. So our young people need to realize that free stuff is what they use to get you interest in socialism, because every equity, I mean, they don't realize that is a communist term. So once you get into the door, you vote for them, and they have total control. All of a sudden, you cannot vote anymore.
Yep.
And you cannot have guns anymore. You cannot have private property anymore. And your children don't belong to you, they belong to the state. And you don't have a medical decision anymore. We have seen plenty of that in the past 2 years. That's why I feel like I can do more now by going to run for office, so I can get my messages out.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.